Alright, good evening everybody. I just have your attention for about 30 minutes today, so thank you all for being very punctual, even though I'm not. So thank you very much. We're 5 minutes behind, we won't keep you too long tonight. My name is Lee, I'm the owner of Bootcamp Geelong, along with my wife Jess, who's at the back. You met her on the way in. Jess, can wave, just in case you didn't know who Jess was. Yeah, that's Jess. We have a few trainers with us tonight scattered around. We've got Joe and Jessie on my left. We're missing a couple, but they'll be here a little bit later, so I'll go through that a little bit later in detail. But welcome to Bootcamp 35. It's really exciting. I use that word a lot. Very exciting time for us. We have been in operation for about 10 years. When I say about, it's within a month or so. So happy birthday us. It's our 10th birthday bootcamp. So welcome to that, first of all. I'll go through basically what we're going to talk about tonight. We're doing a little bit more professional tonight, so excuse me if I'm learning how to use the clicker. Alright, but our agenda tonight, we're just basically going to tell you a little bit about who we are for those guys that haven't done our boot camps before, or those that have been a few years away from actually having done one with us. So is there anybody that hasn't done a camp with us for at least 12 months? Or ever? Yeah, okay, there you go. Fantastic. What I've done, guys, just so you know, you're not actually like the majority of our camp this time. We do have a lot of repeat campers. We've asked specifically that repeat campers, they don't need to attend tonight, so if you see repeat campers here, they're just really keen. Okay, so that's why they're here. But they love us and we love them. So that's why they're here tonight, but they certainly don't have to. We're going to cover some new things which are new to our camp, but we're going to cover some older things which they've heard all before. So we're going to introduce you to some more of the trainers when they come through a bit later. We're going to go through some results and testing and how we do it at Bootcamp Geelong, how it's a little bit unconventional. Is that alright with everybody, by the way? Alright. Nutrition guide. We're going to go through the nutrition guide that you all should have received by now. Can I have a show of hands if someone hasn't received an email from us with itinerary, nutrition guide, etc.? Yeah? Good. We tried our best to make sure it got through. We made sure, we tried our best to make sure it got through this time. So apologies if you haven't got it. We've got hard copies for you regardless. I'm sure you know what you're doing though, Lindsay. Alright. Locations and itinerary. We're going to go through those in a little bit of detail for you tonight. Safety and injuries. What to wear. It's important. We'll get to some cool stuff to do with that in a second, which leads us into our next point, parties. We will have some parties this camp to celebrate. And we'll wrap up. So, we'll get started. 10 years old, yes, our 10th birthday. Now, we were formerly Physical Revolution Lifestyle Club, for those that have been around a long time. We're in Geelong for a while. The Lifestyle Club itself was actually a gym. We're no longer a gym. So we don't have a gym anymore, we're only boot camp. We only run outdoor boot camps. We run 4 of those a year at the moment. For those that are interested, we run 4 a year. And this is our last one for the year. Now, we are Geelong's largest, in case you didn't already know that by Googling us or having a look or asking people. We will have 100 plus campers for this camp. We're at 95 at the moment. We will get an influx in the next few days. It's just the way it works. So get excited about that. It's a big camp. It's our biggest in 2 years, by the way. So if anyone wants to know. Yeah, we're outdoors. We're always outdoors and we're always different. We focus on social, fun, fitness, and we make it a part of your lifestyle. That's what we aim to do. So we don't want to actually have you guys taking this on as a 5-week quick start fix to whatever's going on in your life and then just drop the ball and forget about it later on. So we're going to do our best to make sure that you develop habits going forward with this camp, that after the 5 weeks and beyond it, that you can continue exercising and continue looking after yourself in and around groups, as we encourage that social side of things through our camps. You'll see that throughout the next 5 weeks. Yeah, we have a fantastic mix of boot campers from all fitness levels. Very hard to gauge if people sitting next to you where they're at fitness-wise, but the reality is that everyone's at a different point in their fitness cycle. Some people are old, some people are young, some people act old, some people act young. Great people, and that's the boot campers I'm talking about, not us. So you guys actually make our camps. Our camps have been successful over these years because of the great community, or the great groups we've actually had that have done our camps right from the word go. But look around the room, I've even got campers that have been with us for, 30 odd camps now. So that's something which is a testament to them rather than us, that they are really strong in that community. We'll see that over the next 5 weeks. Trainers for this camp, I'll go through it a little bit more in detail in a minute, but I've already pointed to Jessie and Joe. We've also got Alicia, Kate, Jez, Darren's back, myself and Jess. So we've got a lot of trainers to pick from. We've also got Alex is going to come on board for a few sessions this camp. The reality is anyone who's a trainer or you see walking around in a trainer top, please just obviously listen to their instructions. They're usually for your own good. Results and testing straight into it. Now, Everybody has a reason why they're here. So everyone has a reason why they've done boot camp, why they've done boot camps, why they've gone to a gym, why they've gone on a diet, why they've done any of this stuff. You really need to actually have a good hard think about the reason that you're here. So the number one reason that you've come to boot camp, everyone has one of those reasons. They all have a catalyst. The reason I ask you to think about that is I'm not going to write on the board because it's pitch black. But everyone's here for a very similar reason. I could probably put up my hand and say when I first did my very, very first boot camp as a participant, I did it to actually lose weight. I did it to get fit. I did it to meet people. I did it to do all those three of those things. Is there anyone here, you don't have to tell me what it is, that has other reasons why they're here? See, not many hands go up. In fact, not one. Oh, maybe one or two. All right. So the fact is that everyone's here for a very similar reason. And when I say everyone, I mean the majority of people have come to boot camp for real similar reasons. It's usually one of those three things. They're the most common things we hear. They're the most common things we address as part of the camp. So it's really important that you know why you've actually come along, why you signed up for boot camp. It's not just because I was encouraged to by a friend. There's obviously another reason. You wouldn't just come along and do that, because I'm sure a lot of you have a lot more friends than you have in this boot camp already, in greater circles, that haven't come along. So there's a reason that not everyone wants to do it in the first place. Now, procrastination. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about procrastination because I have been personally a habitual procrastinator. All through my life, my teenage years, and even from a toddler and an adolescent, I procrastinated. And what I mean by that is, ever since I was a little kid, I was always the fat kid. I was always a lot larger, I was a lot bigger. I know I'm looking very different now. You can see all of the eyes. Dramatic effect didn't work. Alright, so basically I procrastinated. What I meant by that is, every single week I'd really look after myself, and then I'd go nuts on the weekends. Now, what I thought was looking after myself, clearly in hindsight wasn't. But what would happen is, for years and years and years of my life, I developed these habits. Now, who can actually say, again, I don't need to see a show of hands, you can probably all relate to this, that when you say, oh, I'm just big boned, it's my genetics, I've got bad habits because it's just the way of my family. The reason that we're overweight is the habits that we choose. It's time to take ownership for that. Got myself up to about 110 kilos, 115 kilos at the time. Every weekend would come along. On a Saturday, I'd say, I'd go off the rails a little bit. You can relate to that, just a weekend, let's party. And I'd go even worse into my hole, and I'd eat all this crap, and I'd just eat pavlovas and Nutella out of the jar and peanut butter with a spoon. This was just a common occurrence, right? Loaves of bread for lunchtime at school because I didn't know any better. These things was the habits that I formed, but what would happen is Sunday would come along and I'd be like, oh, I feel so bad, I'm really horrible, I feel fat, I feel really down and crap. So, hey, you know what? Monday, I'm going to start a whole new lifestyle. Monday, I'm going on a diet. So who can say, that, honestly, look themselves in the mirror and say, that's happened to me quite a few times. Now, I was habitual like that. Every single week of my life, I'd get to the Friday, and I'd be like, thinking I was doing well, having a loaf of bread for lunch, but no sugar was a really good idea for me. Thank you for laughing, because that's horrible. Alright, so the weekend come along and I'd fall off the rails. The problem was for me, is that years and years and years of this abuse in my body and procrastinating was, at the age of 25, Monday nearly didn't come for me. And what I mean by that is, when I was 25 years old, I had a headache. Everyone's had a headache here before. That headache turned into a really bad headache. 3 days later, I was in a doctor's surgery saying, man, I've got this really bad headache. And he said, oh, you know what you need? Nurofen. So I took Nurofen. He said, hard nut, go play basketball. So I played basketball that night. The very, very next morning, I woke up with a worse headache. It was so bad, it felt like someone was actually stepping on my brain. So I took the day off work and I went to a second doctor. The second doctor said, hey, I tell you what, it doesn't sound normal. You don't have a history of migraine, so I'm probably going to have to send you for a CAT scan. Probably show nothing, but let's just make sure. It was that decision that saved my life. The doctor getting me to have a CAT scan on the spot showed I had a major subdural hematoma, which is a massive bleed in my brain, something I shouldn't have survived. I had less than 48 hours left on the planet, and I was very fortunate to have actually had the tap on the shoulder and saved. Now, that's not because of what I ate, okay? And in hindsight, after a few months of being inactive, I still returned to my old habits, and I got even fatter, and I was 120 kilos, and I'm like, you know what? I feel really crap now. My life's been saved, and I've been given a second chance, so maybe I shouldn't blow this time. So I did. So I said, you know what, I'm going to do something about it, and I joined a boot camp. So that boot camp was the very same one you're sitting in the room of tonight. I joined that boot camp 3 years ago and 30 kilos ago, and I've never looked back. Now my wife and I are the proud owners of the same boot camp because we want to actually encourage other people to have that second chance of life. So my message to you, really simple in the middle of all this, before we even get into the nitty-gritty, is don't wait till Monday because it might never come. And I mean that, that's not a morbid outlook for you guys. I just share that with you because that's really, really important for you to take away from tonight. It's my 4th anniversary. Shit, I forgot. Today, 4 years. So 4-year anniversary today from the day I nearly died. So 4 years ago, I went to see my surgeon 2 years ago on the 2-year follow-up. He said, how'd you lose all that weight? I said, what about my CAT scan on the screen? Can you have a look at that for me? How am I doing, doc? And he said, oh, you know what? Yeah, we'll get to that in a sec, but geez, I've been trying to diet for a while. What are you doing? And he really, by the time we got through all the scans and everything, and we sat down and he said, you know what? I never need to see you again. Have a good life. So, nothing to do with my diet and exercise. But hey, I just thought I'd share that with you anyway. Today is my 4th anniversary. I was reminded of it this morning when I was putting this together. So there you go. Your choices though dictates your results. So it's really important you understand that it's your choices that dictate your results, not your friends, not your parents, not whatever else goes on in your life in the next 5 weeks. I know that shit happens in our life, okay? So the next 5 weeks, yeah, we'll have challenges that are outside of everyone's control, but what choices you make with regards to diet and exercise, they will dictate how your results turn up. So we're always quick to shift the blame. Does anyone know how many hours there are in a week? You can shout it out. One at a time, please. Is it more than 100? 168, well done. I don't have any prizes for you. Alright, hopefully I'm your trainer. I'll give you a beautiful prize. Hours in a week. There is 168 hours in a week. So, we train with Bootcamp Geelong for 3. That's it. 3 hours. They're quality hours, mind you, but they're 3 hours. So, we need to be accountable for the rest of our 5 weeks. All right, the rest of the 165. 165 hours left in the week, all right, that we have to be accountable for our own actions. We're not going to be there with you. Jesse's not going to tap you on the shoulder, or I hope not anyway. Tap you on the shoulder at 2 a.m. in the morning and say, oh, put down that mask, brother. It's not happening. All right, we need to measure our success. When it comes to results and testing, we really need to measure our success, okay? And what I mean by that is we need to have a starting point. If we want to measure something, how do we know if we've progressed or if we've gone backwards unless we know where we started? Fair point? Take photos. I don't need to see them. Don't need to share. I've said this 5 camps now. Take photos. I haven't seen any yet, and that's a good thing, but I hope that you guys are actually reviewing these, and I hope that your decisions and basically your choices you make in between boot camps are also giving you good results. So take photos so we know how we're progressing, not just in 5 weeks, but forever. It's the biggest regret I have. I never took photos and stuff because I felt really, really low on my self-worth. I was like, no way I'm taking a photo. Not a chance. Because then I have to develop it. Can you imagine me standing there like, side on views like this is really 120 kilos, feeling really shit, got a big sad face, and then having to get it like developed and stand there in the line and wait for the person who looking at me and going, shit, I've seen you with no clothes on, that's not good. Measurements. Scales if you must. Not a big advocate for scales and weight, but I have to admit that I was a scales and weight person at the start. If that's what does it for you, that's fine, you can use those, but at least you're measuring something, yeah? So measurements around your belly button and around your, we can give you ways to measure that actually help with centimetres so you know how you're doing with that if that's your goal. Fitness testing is another way we can test and we can measure our results. We do things a little bit differently here. For those of you that know, you've done camps with us before. Our fitness testing, we do what's called a big time trial or an obstacle course at the start. It's always different. We try and mix it up. We use some of the things we use from previous ones, but generally speaking, it's always different. Our time trial that we're having this weekend is the first time trial at Ballyang Sanctuary. What it'll be, guys, is just to give you a heads up, there will be anywhere between 4 and 7, 8 Ks of movement, probably about 5 to be honest. The movement will be all sorts of patterns, from everything from a run, shuffle, walk up to climbing up a hill, jumping over something, lying down, etc. I won't give away too much. We're planning that in the planning stages at the moment, but the time that you get for that test, it'll take this, by the way, it'll take the fittest people about 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes, and it'll take the slowest people about an hour, which is all cool because we usually stick around every single one of us until everyone finishes. The first 15 people through will be in what's called Group 1, the second 15 through Group 2, and so on. So we'll group you based on the level that you finish at, okay? So you're going to be training in a group for the next 5 weeks of people with similar fitnesses. which is fantastic news. Not if you wanted to stay with your friend and you're at these different levels of the scale, but if you really want results and you want to be able to increase over the next 5 weeks, you're going to have to put in a group of similar fitness, because there's no way to actually get that to keep consistent from a trainer's point of view without just giving you circuit work. And you've all seen that down at the waterfront. Okay, does everyone go around for 2 minutes at each station? That's not what we're about. So we'll share that more with you as we go through it. But after the first session, we'll group you on Tuesday. So Tuesday, you can expect Tuesday morning when you come along nice and early. If you don't come to Tuesdays, that's fine. We've got your name written down regardless. We'll put you in Thursday. But after the first session, we'll put you in a group. So you'll get your group from then, you'll get your trainer. That's the one trainer you generally have for the whole 5 weeks. Okay. The first and last Tuesday of the month is at Geelong Grammar. We're really, really lucky to actually have this facility available to us. It is I've mentioned this how many times, but it's a $16 million sports facility. Okay, we're not putting you in them, but there's pools and there's like hockey stadiums and rugby pitches, and the place looks like something out of a military college in America. It's fantastic, it's immaculate. With Geelong Grammar, I'll get to that in a sec, but that's the first and last Tuesday. We're doing a little bit more testing during that. Okay? Thought we'd touch on this now. We are having a nutritional evening where we're having a cooking demo and nutritional evening. I'm not going to get into really big nitty gritty on this right now, but we're just going to go through some real big basics with regards to nutrition. Okay? Our boot camps, any strength training, boot camps, running, jog, whatever you want to do in your life, it actually helps you build a bigger engine or helps increase your metabolism. Okay, what that means is it increases your active tissue in your body. Give an example of active tissue, someone? Where's Colin?
I left them to tissues.
In tissue, you lost me. I lost your tissue. All right, so we've got muscles. All right, we've got muscles. We've got organs. Okay, these things use energy, so they require energy. Some people call it calories to make it easy. When they're burning calories, they're burning energy, but they need energy just to exist. So every single person in this room requires energy just to live day to day. To sleep, we require energy. To go for jogs, to do anything in our life, we require energy. One important thing you need to remember though when we talk about this is you're not to starve yourself when it comes to boot camp, right? Fad diets, they don't work. We avoid fad diets because anytime we need to starve ourselves of a macronutrient, which I'll get to in a second, basically what we're doing is we're slowing down our metabolism almost to a stop. So what happens is if we actually don't eat often, and that's why when you'll get to the nutrition guide in a second, you'll see what I mean by eat often. If we don't eat often, what you'll do is you'll actually turn your body into a fat storing mode because it goes into like hibernation. So everyone heard people say, you've got to eat frequently 5, 6, 7, 10, 20 meals a day? Yeah? Alright, not 20, but you get the picture. You've got to eat frequently, guys, because if you keep grazing throughout the whole day, you'll keep your body thinking, don't worry, get rid of that energy because we've got another batch coming in soon. So whenever we starve ourselves, and I mean starve as in we eat once a day, we eat just lettuce, we literally will just be shutting off that engine. So if you do want to change your body composition, you do want to tone up, or you want to lose weight, or actually be the best you can be in that regard, you need to actually eat often. I'm not talking about Macca's meals, and we'll get to that during. Output versus input, okay. Too much energy in and not enough energy out means you generally get fat. That's when fat storage happens. Picture it as a bucket, right? We're really full. Unless we sort of tip a little bit out of the bucket, we can't refill it. So if we're not really doing much and our bodies aren't burning enough fuel, and we try and pour some water in there, it's going to overflow on the edge. Okay, that will be fat. So anytime we actually have too much energy coming out, we will put on weight or fat. Macronutrients in every single meal. Can anyone name a macronutrient for me? Come on. Don't be shy. Now's not the time. I'll give you a tip. The first one's called protein. You can't read this, but I can. No, that's alright. My writing's horrible anyway. Protein. You can't see that clearly, don't lie. Alright. Protein. It's responsible for active tissue repair and maintenance. Who here's all these guys all at the gym and all these drinking these protein shakes and they just get really big muscles? All it does is maintain it basically. It's the building blocks. That's really what it does. It doesn't actually create massive amounts of muscle. Alright, so protein, what it does though, is an active tissue repair and maintenance. The active tissues, we established that before, is our organs and our muscles, all the things we require to build a bigger engine. Okay, so they need to be in tip-top shape. So protein, top of the tree for us, we need to keep up our protein. The other good things about protein is it keeps you fuller for longer. Okay, so if you get these little cravings from time to time when we have enough protein in our diet, it will keep us fuller for longer. Carbohydrates, I may as well just throw these up here because you can't read my writing. It's not that interactive anyway. So let's just go to these carbohydrates. Now, carbohydrates are our energy stores. Basically, during the day, we go for low energy carbohydrates. Anyone read our nutrition guide yet? All right, perfect. Colin, low energy carbohydrates. Shoot.
Sorry?
A low energy carbohydrate. Give me one.
Broccoli.
Broccoli, fantastic. Right. So broccoli, green vegetables, perfect example. Low energy carbohydrates. They keep our energy levels replenished without tipping over the bucket. Really important to keep them in every single meal. Now, high energy, we have post-workouts. That's what we advocate to have post-workouts. There's plenty of ways to do this and there's different ways to skin a cat. But high energy generally is starchy carbs, breads and cereals, etc. Right? So if we start tucking into all of them, they're really, really high in energy. You will not notice as much of the differences unless you save them for your post-workout. Now, there you go, replaces the energy stores in the muscles, reignites the flame in our body. And that's why things like the Atkins diet, etc., where they just cut out carbs altogether, or really, really low amounts, can be really detrimental for you, because flame gets put out. Good fats. I say good because there's two types, there's good and there's bad. Bad fats, saturated and trans fats. Now, saturated can be okay in small quantities, but there's the two types of bad fats. Anything which is unsaturated, so polyunsaturated, monounsaturated, they're generally good fats, omega-3s. You guys have heard of that before. Circulation, heart, brain function, skin, nails, etc. So that's good for all that stuff. So all those things on the board there, these are things that we want in our life. Water, we know that's, now, I heard a stat on this. I don't know, someone might be able to tell me if this is true or not. It's from a reputable source. 2 days, you can live without water. 2 weeks without food, is that right, someone? Just nod.
Yeah, something like that.
Thank you for that. I actually heard that from Bear Grylls, so it's got to be true. It's true story. Anyway, he drinks all sorts of weird stuff you won't get into. He doesn't drink this during his exercise outdoors. Alcohol is the highest energy source that we can find, and it stops burning out fuel when you take alcohol. So, without getting into it full on, alcohol equals bad during boot camp, right? You can drink alcohol if you want. Depends on what you want from boot camp. You know, all too often people say to me, "Oh my dear, you can't eat that." And I was like, "Well, it depends on what your goal is." You know, but if you really have that goal, one of the 3 things I mentioned before, you're probably going to need to eliminate things that are going to stop you from getting there. One of those things is alcohol. When you take alcohol into your system, what it is it's like chucking fuel on a fire. Yeah. So if you chuck fuel on the fire, the first thing will happen is the flame will go really, really high energy. It's like, you know, you see the guys on the podium at the nightclubs. Yes, those people all night. Well, I've got some photos of Colin on a podium at a nightclub. We're going to share with you. But that's because he had too much alcohol. And then what happens though, when your actual energy goes back down, the first thing you look for is high energy, because your brain makes you think, you know what, you need high energy. It's about time you've got some of that in you, so you go for another alcohol drink. And then you have about 5 or 6 and you start getting the wobble and you go, oh, no more alcohol for me. And your brain says, it's time for the next highest energy source. Which is? Yeah, spot on. So that's exactly what happens. So we all end up in the line for the kebabs and wandering out thinking, what the hell happened to my night? So that happens to everybody. That's why we avoid it, because it impairs our judgment and makes us fat. Alright. Really quick summary, nutrition guide. These are the things we just discussed a second ago. If you haven't got one of those, let me know. But that basically is your go-to foods guide for every one of the macronutrients you need to put in your meals. Your high energy carbohydrates on the right, they're in a different colour because they're the ones we have less than 2 hours post-exercise. Otherwise, the rest of them you have with every meal. So put in the bottom corner, your supplement to complement. Now, people talk about having supplements instead of a meal, right? We have a shake, done. Our meal's done. One thing we're missing with a shake usually is one of those 3 things, for starters, if not 2, and we just get like protein and water, okay? But when we're going to supplement, guys, it's really important. We've got a great connection with the guys at GNC. When we're going to supplement, we use it to complement our diet, not replace it. So make sure we're still eating good whole foods first, and then we can supplement it with some, we can complement it rather with some stuff. GNC are really good network partners of ours. Anyone know where GNC is? It's upstairs, opposite KFC at Westfield. You shouldn't be laughing at that. You should know where KFC is. All right, so it's upstairs, opposite that. Go and see the guys there. They'll hook you up. Itinerary, 5-week itinerary at the top here. We've got, you guys have seen this, so I'm going to really quickly go over it. Geelong Grammar, we went through that. See attached map. Important thing to note is we've got a map for that place. Usually pretty easy to find. We can't be driving through the school grounds at 5 to 10 to 6 in the morning. There's people paying $60,000, $70,000 a year to go to that school. We can't be just like driving through our lights and high beams on him. We'll be kicked out before we begin. There is a map. I've given you Google Maps locations. Has anyone tried them out yet? No? Right, well, I've got little links on there. Should work, which will take you directly to every one of our sessions. It was in the email I sent out. So you just click it or put it on your phone and it'll take you to wherever you need to go. We just go around Foreshore Road and we're on the outside of it before we just cut in, okay? So that's where you go from there. On there I've also got a couple of things on the left-hand side. Run Geelong and Lara Fun Run. Run Geelong, we have a marquee of the finish line, so if anyone's doing Run Geelong, make sure you come and say hi. We'll talk about that more during the camp. Lara Fun Run comes up 4th of November. That's through Serendip Sanctuary. That'll be pretty cool as well, and we're a major sponsor for that event. 7 p.m. on the Tuesday the 6th, we have a cooking class here in this exact same room with Lockie. So we'll be cooking, we'll be taking a little bit more in depth through the nutrition things we just touched on a second ago, and he'll be showing you how he cooks and how you should cook based according to the principles we just went through. Really, really cool stuff. We've got some new recipes to share with you this time, which I'm pretty excited about. Now, Yu-Yangs. I've highlighted the things that are important. Yu-Yangs. Stay for brekkie after. We're going to put some brekkie on after the Yu-Yang session. If you're intolerant to certain things, make sure you bring some of your own foods that you can have. But we'll talk about that closer to the time. Straight after the session, we're getting together and having a feed and a bit of fun. Last one I want to go through. Bring a friend and fancy dress day. Not yet. I'll go through in a sec. Safety first. Injuries. Tell your trainer. You know, it's injured, pre-existing conditions, diabetes, asthma, etc. Make sure you please pull your trainer aside before the session on the first day and say, listen, I've got one leg, in case you didn't notice. It's important that they know this, because if they don't and they go get you to do 3-legged races, you're in deep shit. Pre-existing or during camp. Anything with pre-existing that happens during the camp, they've got to know about it. Only do what you can do, of course. We know our bodies. Trainers, hopefully, don't. Alright, so, you guys only do what you can do. Always follow instructions. It's really important that we pay attention to the ground and the environment we're running around outdoors. It happens all too often. The people aren't looking where they're going, they run into a tree, etc. when they're running around. Not part of our boot camps, but someone else's. So basically pay attention to what you're running on and where you're running and what you're doing and what you're lifting. And that goes for the equipment too, because we use unconventional equipment as part of our boot camps. We do use tyres, we use ropes, we use wood, we use poles. We use all sorts of random stuff you wouldn't normally use as part of a fitness routine. You won't find boxing and skipping at our camps. You'll find totally different stuff that you don't normally use. But pay attention to what you're using so you don't hurt yourself with it. Prevention obviously is the best medicine, which brings me to the next point. We have a relationship for many, many years now, since I can remember, even as a participant with Ben. At Sports Medicine Massage, everyone should have received a voucher by now to get a free massage through Ben. Massage is obviously super important with regards to preventing injuries. Stretching also. Not only preventing, but following a session, some of you will be sore following sessions, especially if you've been inactive for a while. Stretching is your key. Stretching and hydration, rest and nutrition. Remember that? Good. Nutrition and hydration and rest. There they are. So they're the most important things when it comes time to not be sore for days after a training session and having to miss the next one with just heaps of sore. Asthma pumps and glucose, went through that a second ago. If you're asthmatic, there's probably a few of you in the room, take your asthma pumps with you to the session, not just leave them in the car, because sometimes you'll be running away from base with your trainer, they can hold on to them for you, but yeah, it's no good to you in the car if you're a kilometre up the road with a tyre on your back. Appropriate clothing, singlets. We've all got one now. If you didn't, see Jess on the way out. Compulsory, wear them to your sessions, you can wear them over something if you want. You can dress it up if you want to. You can some tinsel on it or something, or wear a cape. Weather appropriate. Hat, sunscreen, don't expect you to slip stuff like all the time. We're out for an hour, but if you're prone to getting sunburn, etc., please just be responsible. Shoes, footwear, not thongs. If you're on a beach, still bring your runners, even though you might have to take them off during a session. Just make sure you wear good shoes, runners preferably. And they're fairly new, so don't wear old tatty runners that your toes are going to hang through and stubborn or something. But in regards to shoes, Scott at the running company, a long-term again, network partner of ours, helps us out with some good prizes. Those that have had prizes before from Scott and the guys at the running company can attest to that, is that if you do need a pair of shoes, the service probably won't get any better than that, especially in the nearby area. Towel and change of clothes for Saturdays. We're not going to get you to swim, but it could be wet out there, especially at the beaches. And the tide might come up a little bit far and you might end up at waist depth. Especially if you're moving towards the water with the tire on your back. Common sense, last thing on safety. We are all adults. please make sure you use common sense. We shouldn't have to tell you some of the crazy stuff we see, but we shouldn't have to tell you not to do it. You will get yourself injured, and it won't be our fault. Parties. Here we go. Bring a friend fancy dress party. Alright, this is something different. We've done bring a friend session for the last few camps. We've decided it's our 10th birthday, we're going to do something very different. So we're going to have a fancy dress party on Fisherman's Beach. It's in Torquay. We've used that beach before for bring a friend sessions. It's going to be pretty different because there'll be lots of random looking people running around. Hopefully from our boot camp. Alright, Fisherman's Beach, we know that. Best dress prize, we have free boot camp with $300 odd, so $295. Best dress prize, as voted by you guys, not just me. So, dress up, have a think about it now. There will be heaps of other prizes, so don't worry, if you just wear speedos in the Cape, you're not going to lose. There might be a prize for you too. Wear workout appropriate attire, common sense. I don't want to see any 3 people horses. Yes, you might get a laugh, but when you run into a pole, it's not funny. Break-up party, second party. Last day of boot camp, we're going to have a party, yes. There will be prizes, there will be awards, same as usual. However, we don't know where we're having it. So if you guys have actually got an idea for that, I want to hear it, because last time, so we'll just have one in the street if we have to. The last one we had at Eureka, we had one at night. At Eureka will be at night again, but I'm open to suggestions for that. So if you know somebody who knows somebody, tell somebody. Any suggestions on that first? No suggestions on that first? No? Good. We'll just hear from you later, all of you individually. Have fun. Last words. Have fun. Please enjoy yourselves. We're going to enjoy ourselves. It is a really cool time for us too. October is one of our favourite times of the year. I know everyone comes out of hibernation, but so do we. We love it. We get up and about for Boot Camp 35, especially because it is October. The sun will be out and the birds will be chirping. We are committed to your success, but only if you are. So we as trainers, our priority is you guys. Our priority is to give you a good, fun time. Make sure you get results if you're going to put in. You know, we're not going to be responsible if you're not going to put in outside of camp as well as inside of camp. The awards I mentioned a second ago are going to be awarded by each trainer for whoever they think embodies boot camp spirit, which basically will be those that get involved, get up and be motivated, really put in at every single session. You'll be in for a real run with the prize. And I tell you what, if you don't win one, you'll have the prize that will last a lifetime. So be responsible for your own actions, obviously, this is common sense, and like us on Facebook. Sorry, I came out really angry. Please like us on Facebook. Please. Now, if you're on Facebook, I want to see your hands. Yeah, cool. Hands back up now. If you're on Facebook, you haven't liked us.
Sorry if you have or haven't.
Haven't. Yes. Oh, no. Keep them down. Alright, like us on Facebook when you get home, it's the first thing you're going to do. There's still some spots left. I told you we've got another 5 spots before we get to 100. We have enough trainers for just over 100. We're not going to be able to find any quality trainers last minute either. So please, if you've got some friends or family that want to actually grab a spot, we've got a few left. And that's it. So, have we got any questions? In a group environment. You have to feel daunted, the lights are off. Oh, there we go. Hey, now you've met Jez. Now you've met Jez. Hey, Jez. Hey, guys. So Jez is here too. Jez, one of our trainers at the back. They all start with J, I just realised. See you Saturday, guys. That's it. If you've got any questions, stick around, please. But I don't really have anything else to share with you tonight. We'll save it all for Saturday. So have a good evening and thanks for your attention. Thanks, guys.